Ho ho ho-ish, and welcome to the sort of festive edition of the Madaxeman podcast. What that really means is we're going to take a break for a few weeks until the new year, so make the best of this one. Sit back and enjoy it. We've got our usual gang, we've got our usual end of year set of random conversations, but on our festive theme, the closest we could get is to try and find something that didn't cost us anything to give you. So what we've got is a special feature on other podcasts that we listen to that are probably better than this one, computer games to spend more time than listening to this one, also which wargaming websites it's worth having a look at. So we've got all of that, we've got the painting, we've got the chat, we've got Andy's quiz. It's all coming to you, and you can stretch this one out all over Christmas.
This means war.
Well, here we are. This is a God, I was going to do some dreadful Christmassy thing there, but this is probably our last podcast before Christmas, I believe, unless we sneak out some sort of weird special festive Santa's elves as a DB fantasy version army thing, or Hordes of the Things army or something like that special. Yet again, at the end of what's been a tumultuous year, I think Tamsin, your blog was saying that we've done nearly 30 of these podcasts with 28 or something with the full set of 7 of us in lockdown world. I think I read something this
27.
week. 27 then. So this will be 28, which is not bad. That's one every other week.
Plus the 2 specials.
Plus the glue and the other ones and a couple of other bits in there.
Paintbrush specials. So
glue and paintbrush specials.
This will make it 30. Yeah.
This will make it 30 in a year, which is quite spectacular. Given our paucity of intellect and wit and erudition.
There's also been a couple of list specials as well.
There's been a couple of one-offs as well, but I think in terms of I think what radio people would call is it the zoo? I think we're the zoo, aren't we? This zoo format podcast, possibly. This is
zoo format.
Zoo format. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, indeed. And
so you'd think we're just monkeying around.
Pete, take yourself outside. Give yourself a talking to for that one.
No,
that's actually good.
I blame the COVID.
No,
I think my cop out today.
No, I think it's nice to get a chance so early in the podcast to hear the tumbleweed noise, and it's not even Andy doing it this time.
That's a nice
That's very good. Very, very good. No, indeed. So without further ado, with the full set of people, we'll start spinning around the Zoom screen and ask that tremendous, now almost mandatory, not almost, literally mandatory question: that what have you been painting this week? And Adam, I can see you there staring at something on a sprue. So there's been clipping, painting, gluing, all sorts going on, I'm imagining, unless you just started this minute.
No, I've just been slowly that's like fastishly painting those stations again, 28mm. It's I'm doing some more because I'm getting a bit ahead in my prepping, because I find it easier to do gluing or doing a podcast and painting. Painting takes a bit more attention.
Yeah.
And yeah, stuff's going on. The only thing I would say about it, because again, I'm not doing really detailed painting. I'm doing a fairly basic technique. And I keep being surprised by, because I'm doing in batches of 30, usually with 28, 25mm, I do batches of 24 infantry or 12 mounted, because I think that goes back to playing 6th edition, where a unit was kind of 24.
Always 24, yeah.
But because I'm doing 130, I thought if I do 30 in a batch, that takes out one batchness of it. But doing 30, I just reminded myself of, even if you're not doing lots of fancy Tasman-like techniques, how much longer it takes to paint a 25mm figure than a 15 or a 10mm figure, just to get the coverage. It's like, bloody hell. It's like, I'll sit down and just sort of just do the tunics.
I think that might be one of the hidden advantages of those contrast paints, because they're so sort of ink-like. They just slop on really quickly, and you can just kind of bang them over. You're not having to actually paint them. You're sort of slopping them onto the figure. I think, Peter, you've used a few of them as well. Is that laziness something that you've seen as well?
It's not laziness. It's efficiency of action. And
Efficiency of
especially
action.
those Arabic flowing robes. It just eases into those crevices and it just fulfills it so much better.
Yeah, I'm going to cut that little bit out and use it as one of the bits at the end as well. Just, we don't want to know about oozing into your crevices this early in the pre-festive season. All right. So what colours?
That Lemsit's gone to my head.
No, it's all gone. So Adam, what sort of
That's where
colours and things have you been? Has it put you off doing some patterns and things like that? Just the sheer volume of them. Would you think if you had?
I'm
a
not really
number,
doing patterns. I'm sort of like doing block colours, and then I'm going to put the sort of like army painter slop on top. So
yeah,
because they're supposed to be sort of like Dacian warriors. So I don't think they're supposed to be working class. They're sort of like the elite of the society. A lot of the trousers are white or grey or brown, and the tops I'm giving more colour to. So some are going to be sort of like neutral, but some are going to be sort of like dark green, dark blue, dark red. Sorry,
what is it you're painting?
Dacians.
Dacians, oh yeah, the ones with
Another
the funny
thing
names.
which might take you some time, Adam, I found when painting my Normans and stuff, is the shields. When you're doing shields for a 25mm army that, they're not uniform coloured shields like Romans, you think, I've got to make them all different. They've got to look quite nice. And I found that a bit challenging.
I've got my technique. It's like you've got your batch and you do one colour on that, and you do that either a whole shield or half a shield, and you sort of like bounce through on colours. So that's not too bad. And I've got some generously donated by Simon some transfers to stick on to put patterns on.
Yeah. Have they got helmets?
Most of them not. Most of them are hair. A few got hats. A few of the really sort of like commanders got helmets.
That's the bit that gets me when I'm doing. If I remember doing 28mm, and it's like trying to do the heads, and then I'm trying to get different colours of the hair and everything else. I feel guilty if I don't mix it up.
And I will do, but again, that's sort of like you do all the light browns, you do all them, so that's not too bad. I mean, it's one of the advantages of doing Mediterranean type figures. It's all black.
Yeah, that's my Arabs. I don't think there's anybody who's not got a black head of hair, unless they.
You don't get too many Ginger Arabs, do you?
There's not too many Gingers out there.
Funnily enough.
Yep, possibly.
There are some.
But okay, so it's been sticking and gluing and doing Dacian. So of your 130 then, and you're doing them in 30s, how many 30s? Is this 30 number 2? 30
no,
number
it's still
3?
number 1.
30 number 1.
I've got 2 batches prepped up. I've started painting the one. I've done sort of like most of the tunics and trousers and stuff. So that's most of the first batch done. But I'm not in a rush. The Romans, I did loads to get them done because I was getting close. But this, I'm kind of taking it easy. I've been doing quite a lot of work as well. So I'm in no rush. I'm happy just toodling along, getting it. And as I say, it's like a couple of hours. I paint for a couple of hours and go, I don't seem to have done loads. But one thing I always find about painting toy soldiers, and this is any scale, it seems to be taking bloody ages to get a batch done. And then the last bit is all in a rush. It seems to be taking ages. And then all of a sudden, it's done. Brilliant. So I'm sure that will be the effect of these as well.
Okay, they're getting close to finish. So looking around the screen, Mr. Saunders, you're waving your large technical electrical implement, and you're attempting to put some sort of weird crocodile clip into the screen, which I'm recording from in horror. Stop. Yeah, I can see your hair standing on end there. That for me, this is the second time I've seen you on screen this week after your performance fronting the Hold Steady in Brooklyn on a live stream I watched on Sunday night. But other than that, for the rest of us, it's probably first time out. So have you just been re-engineering flock?
Your car radio.
Yeah, have you reverse engineered some flock or something like that? Has it just been reflocking everything you've got? Now you've got this mad new toy, or does it just not work and it was a waste of money?
I'm surprised how much it actually does work. Actually,
how much did you spend on this thing that you didn't expect to work?
About 17 quid, I think.
Okay, that's reasonable.
On eBay.
Oh, that's about the same as the price of Gothic cavalry, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's absolutely a piece of what's the word? The guy who lives in Pinner. Anyway, so I mean, it's hard enough getting the batteries inside it.
Right, that's another thing I'm going to clip out and use at the end of the podcast. But
the flock seems to be attracted into the sieve rather than coming out of the sieve.
so it's a flock hoover. You've bought a flock hoover. You sure you've not got the battery in the wrong way round?
But I mean, I basically I've been watching strange videos on YouTube with people.
Do we need to know this?
Dave, please. Can I drink first before you carry on?
Yeah, because that could go so horribly wrong.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
It's on YouTube, people using battery-powered devices.
Yeah, exactly.
For flocking.
Which makes your hair stand on end. This is just going downhill fast.
Yeah.
Techniques for your flocker.
Flocking techniques on YouTube. Okay.
I have to say,
Dave, we might have to get you bail before you can take part in the next podcast.
I'm actually surprised how much it actually works.
Did you see the film, Dave? Meet the Flockers.
Yeah.
I have seen the first one, not the second one.
Yeah.
The second one was pretty rubbish. No, I mean, it actually does make your flock stand up on end.
So, again, not how the hell does this thing actually work? Because we can all see it on the screen.
Well,
and you know, even seeing it on screen, I don't think we know more than people listening to this podcast will do. It looks like a kind of plastic
torch
glass jar attached to a hairdryer, and you're holding it upside down, and it's got a cable off it with a crocodile clip on the other end. So what do you clip the crocodile clip to then?
The base of what?
Think before you answer.
The base that you're flocking.
The base you're flocking.
You're making an electrical charge between your crocodile clip, and your box of your sieve for the flock. But what I'm finding is, because I'm doing 15mm bases, so you're not exactly using this thing. So what you do is put a bit of glue on the base.
Yeah.
Put your pin. I put a safety pin into the crocodile pin. Put the pin into the glue. Sprinkle with flock, and then bring your electrical charge close, and then you get this weird hissing sound. And that's the flock all standing up.
Is it like Casualty and you have to shout out charging?
I mean, it does actually work. And look.
Whoa, that was scary. So
you have to discharge it at the end.
So Harrow is plunged into darkness.
Harrow is indeed plunged into darkness many times. But does glue take an electrical charge then, or is it just between the?
It's conductive. I PVA most glue. PVA glue and got water in.
Right. Wow.
There's the water in the glue, so that's like basically. But what I think I'm not sure about this, and I could be corrected. I think if you put Magnabase on the bottom of the base, that helps get a connectivity. Right. I don't know if this is true or not. So what I'm thinking is I might put my pin into the Magnabase and then bring the other part down. And that does create this hissing sound. And that, as I say, the hissing sound is the flock standing up on end.
So you're basically putting little bases. You're jamming an electrode into a base. You're smearing some glue on it. You're flocking it normally, and then you're putting this kind of weird bell jar on a stick over the top of the figures, and the flock kind of stands up, and some of it gets sucked up into the machinery.
No, you put the flock into that jar thing.
Okay.
That's your reservoir for the static brass.
I'm using one of these.
Then,
as
it goes through the sieve, I think on Dave's one, it's the sieve is attached by a wire to the ion generator in the handle.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Tamsin. You said there's an ion generator.
Yeah.
Are we sure we're not doing something that's in your Judge Dredd like game? You know, does this roll 6 extra dice if you wheel out the ion generator?
No, you use the ion generator to charge up the railgun.
Right, the railgun. Yes, of course.
You just see the safety glass coming on. It's like charge the ion.
It's gonna blow, Captain. It's gonna blow. Okay. So,
is this not Back to the Future or something?
Yeah, I think we're back to something. So Dave, have you done anything other than play with this electrical toy all week?
I've been painting some Byzantines. I know I keep saying this. I've finished the Württemberg division.
Right.
I've got the final yellow flag bunch.
Yeah.
Is
that how they were known in Napoleonic times? The yellow flag bunch.
They've got their sticker on it. They are Regiment Number 1, Prince Paul.
Prince Paul. And are they now galloping through knee-deep vertical long grass?
Yeah, and it's weirdly enough because is it me or is static glass kind of shiny?
Sometimes.
Yeah, this seems to be shiny. So I'm waiting. I've got a dull coat then. When I've got
maybe that's a Harrow thing.
Yeah,
possibly.
I think it depends on what it depends on what the on the brand of static grass, and also on the colours that are used.
I'm just reassured there, Tamsin, that you didn't say no. You can buy wet look static grass if you wish to depict your figures in shortly after a small shower. In which case, some of the flowers probably.
No, I haven't done that.
It really is. So I've got two colours. I've got a summer two-tone grass, which is 2mm, and I've got so much pain with the flocking device, which is 4mm. And I think I'm actually getting close to having the thing where you create a circle of 2mm, put a blob of glue in the middle, and then put some 4mm glue in the centre and make that stand up so you get almost proper like tufts, like those Minotaur tufts.
So soon, within possibly, the rate you're going, within a couple of years, you could actually have a business selling tufts.
I could. Yeah, well, about 5 years after everybody else has got bored of this technique.
Yeah, you can sneak in and do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the buyers and times? Are they more heavy cavalry or pedestrians?
They're later periods. So they're Heracleans. So they're I could if I looked at the Phil Barker book, I'd actually tell you which ones are. They're War and Empire ones.
Right. Okay.
But we've ordered. We're in the process of ordering a big order for Christmas, aren't we?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to corral a Legio Heroica order, and the stuff that I was going to get was reasonably limited. And then Dave, I think you've already sent me over your top up, which is kind of a top up and over the top and spilling down onto the table compared to my order. So if any of the rest of you are still looking at that Legio Heroica catalogue, obviously not in the podcast. It's a bit like watching I'm a Celebrity on catch up. Don't vote now. The voting is already finished. But yeah, there'll probably be a Legio order going over the over to Giuseppe just before we all get panicked by Brexit or whatever that's going to mean for buying soldiers from Europe. So, and whilst we're talking in the world of international, Mr. Lee Ray Mayer, that's a good segue to you. Your Antipodean and soldiers buying expertise. What's this week been like for you?
So I've been busy painting 2 different types of armies. So I've been adding more to my rampant dragon rat army, which is always cute. Yeah. The Greater Empire of Cheese is slowly expanding. I'd ordered a whole bunch of the Dragon Rampant or Dux Belliarium, I think they were, war bases. So bases from war bases. Sort of like, pre-made ones for 20 mil.
The ones that you slot figures into, yeah.
Yeah, so they're sort of all just slightly different shapes rather than being the ADLG block size.
Square.
So, because the idea with Dragon Rampant is it's more warband based, so it's more of dynamic type of troops. So they've arrived. So I've been busy amusing myself with those as a war gamer can do. Then to take a break for that, I as you do, you rummage through your various boxes of toy soldiers and you discover parts of an ancient British army that you started in lockdown 1, and you find
I thought we'd seen all of that. Was there even more of it? Is that the one you bio-stripped from Australia or something, wasn't it?
As a war gamer, you always find more toys in the cupboard. So I found a bunch of druids that I'd painted up, but hadn't done any more. So I then assembled more parts of Stonehenge to make a whole series of ambush and 1 UD markers. Because, if you're going to have ancient British or ancient Gauls, you've got to have standing stones. And then rummaging through the boxes, I found a bunch of Lanchnik 15mm figures from Blue Moon. I had a bunch of their commander bases. So I've now based them just on 20mm square bases. And the idea I'm going to use for those for ADLGR, for if you're playing Italian Wars, is how to represent a keel that's gone into square, when it's being
attacked from all sides.
mounted all that. I've got a few spare figures. Here's little square markers. Like, ta-da, there you go. A keels and square formation.
That's good. Well, if you've got enough figures to do separate things in squares, that's almost getting into kind of doing Battle Empire and building separate figures out in squares for that as well, which has crossed my mind. But maybe best not go there.
Yeah, I did that with because I play Blue Calf for my Napoleonics before BE came out, and I bought my whole Napoleonic Austrian army is all based on Lancashire models, and you always get a few models as part of their big packs. So what I did again for them to make the being in square formation was just little 2 or 3 musket or whatever figures on a round base. You just put it next to the battle unit, because I based all mine on a big single square, just a lot easier. It's like in square, not in square. Ta-da! Got the few figures spare, might as well use them. They look pretty.
This means war. This means war.
Let's keep going around the circle. Tamsin, what about you? You were going to, was it starting some cobblestone this week? Did that get done, or maybe not?
You'll be pleased to hear that. Well, pleased, shocked,
yep,
disappointed, whatever. Hear that I didn't actually finish.
Oh right, you didn't finish. God, I thought you were going to say you didn't start, but your rate of painting. So or did you not finish the infamy stuff then? Or was it the cobblestone people?
I did. It was 6 cobblestone and figures, and I've got 1 painted.
Okay, so he's kind of a butler in a red waistcoat with a metal head,
yes,
with a robot head. Okay,
and the other 5 I've started but not got very far on.
Yeah, because looking at those on my world, they'd be finished to a higher standard than I've done anything in the last 4 years. But I can kind of buy into the fact that you're still looking at those a whip.
I've got flesh tones done on them all.
No, that's really great. Yeah,
and started work on the clothing and hair, but haven't got as far as perhaps I'd have liked. Partly because it didn't mention it during the last podcast. I had suspected mumps back then.
Right.
I seem to have, all the symptoms have gone, but I've just been a bit drained the last week since I finished. So,
well, I think maybe we can introduce a whole new feature of illness of the week.
Yeah.
And like when we previously we used to do 2 army lists and vote on the best one. We can have a vote between you and Peter whether mumps and COVID, which one we feel is more convincing as a story, possibly as an excuse for not doing painting. So, okay, all right. Well, with that one, then, Peter, have you managed to you've obviously been knocked over. It's a tough old thing by the sounds of it, and someone actually going down with this. Have you even not even managed to get any spraying done? Has it just been a blank week? Any internet shopping?
I managed to do a bit of spraying and even started to do some painting of variants at the weekend. So it's slow going.
Because a week ago you couldn't have even have done that, could you? You were not quite over.
My concentration and focus just weren't there. Quite literally, I just couldn't. So I managed to get a bit done at the weekend, but it's just short. I haven't got my full concentration back yet, so I'll just been working in small batches, taking it easy. But just been very tired.
Yeah,
weird. It's very strange, but no, they're slowly coming along. I'm taking it easy.
No, that's the right.
Nice
thing
to actually do it as a sort of distraction. But yeah, I'm looking forward to having some break over the holiday and doing a bit more on some of the other projects as well.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's one of the things that working from home or being off sick normally does mean more painting time. But if you're genuinely not well enough to do any painting, that's a pretty high benchmark for any wargamer to understand and recognise.
It was suitably surreal.
Suitably surreal, yeah. Okay, well, I'm going around the houses then. Mr. Finkel, what about you? What's been in the in the Finkel household, in the Finkel kitchen, on the painting table this week?
Well, I actually finished an army I didn't realise I actually had, in that I finished painting those few bases of Thracians, put them all together, and I discovered that with all the various, what do you call the thing, javelin men and stuff, and light infantry that I've got, I've actually have enough guys to make a complete Thracian army. So that was a result.
Wow, that's quite a lot of bases of medium foot, and
yeah. Well,
is that recycling some cavalry or something from elsewhere?
Well, I can recycle the Carthaginian cavalry, and they can pretend to be Thracians. But I think I had about 15 bases of medium swordsmen or spearmen with wearing Thracian type hats, or with the half moon shields. So that plus a bit of cavalry, and gives you kind of enough guys.
So you got to tell us, is a Thracian army one you've always wanted to do? Is it just that sort of like screaming in, running in, charging?
Not consciously, but I did want
obviously
to have
subconsciously.
Yeah, I've always thought you need. What happened was I had some soldiers. I had a whole load of stuff stolen from the back of my car some years ago, including some really nice Thracian peltasts. And then whenever I go to shows, I think, I need one or two bags of Thracians, and you buy them, and you forget you got them. Then you buy other bits from otherwhere. You know how it is. It's like Simon said, he discovered he'd all these extra Landsknechts and stuff. So, I looked at the cupboard, and all of a sudden I've got these stuff. And Ian from the Isle of Wight gave me those Camelot figures, which 2 bags of them, and I finally got round to painting them, added everything up, and I've got enough for the Thracian army, which is good news.
And Andy, I think that was brilliantly done, really, really compelling. I think your wife did leave the room about 2 or 3 minutes before the end of that story. So, but you were still laying it on very, very thick. And we're all totally convinced that you did accidentally buy an army subconsciously without knowing at all. It was, I was sold. It was beautiful. It was.
So Andy, I've got to ask, because I've just looked at the list. Have you got your Greek mercenaries, or is that what's going to happen next on the? I just forgot it was at the back of the cupboard.
I haven't looked at the list for Greek mercenaries. Are they hoplites, or I'm looking at
classical Greeks. Plus, you can have early Imperial Roman allies. But have you got your leve mediocre of a gang of women and children and slaves charging it?
No, I haven't done those. No.
You see,
I bet you bought them by accident somewhere. They're down the back of a sofa, aren't they?
No, I haven't actually. I was my next purchasing project is, I bought some of the Victrix Hanamags and Cromwells.
Actually, I noticed Victrix emailed me to tell me that someone had bought something using my discount code, and that I therefore qualify for exactly the same discount myself if I was to buy something else. So
glad to be of service, Squire.
Thank you very much.
But thanks for the code thing. But so that's going to keep me entertained a bit over Christmas. And the other thing I was thinking about was, shall I buy a 15 mil Landsknecht army? And I'm not quite sure. Well, Simon's nodding, and of course it's a no-brainer, because we had good fun using a TTS game of 15 mil Landsknechts. It's just a question of which lot to buy, and all the bits I want to go with.
Heroic are doing a sale, and I seem to remember someone who's actually getting some from them.
Yeah, I know, but they only do the Landsknechts. They don't do all the other bits you need to go with it, like crossbowmen and halberdiers. And
yeah, they do.
Like
They've got they do Swiss and also Brundigans.
Yeah, I do agree with Andy. Landsknechts they're not Swiss, they're not Burgundian, they're Landsknechts, and the whole tassels and fluffy shoulder pads and all that are just the best.
Yeah, no, well, I think it's one of those things where it could be a standalone army. So particularly as the way it will be based and stuff. So it could be bought from anyone. Looking at last week, it may well be a case of pick the figures you want and go for it if you want it that much, or just decide that they're gaming pieces and buy something cheaper. Really, may well be the conclusion.
Well, I'd like to get an army for all the where it's not too small in terms of the figure size, and which all the figures are somewhat compatible in style.
Yeah, they've got the crossbowmen in the Swiss stuff, so they've got the pretty ones. I'm just looking.
No, I might look at them with the Swiss, and I'll let you know by tomorrow if I'm.
Yeah, okay.
Want to add to your order.
Let's have a
But
look.
their Landsknechts do look nice.
Yeah.
Do
I mean,
look
I did
suitably
look at
pretty.
the alternative armies stuff, and I thought the infantry stuff looked nice, but the cavalry did look a bit small.
Yeah, I think alternative army stuff, the cavalry is pretty tiny on some of those ranges for sure.
Looking at these Landsknechts, that contrast colours would go really nicely in those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now then, that's a whole new set of paint you can take as well. And on the subject of contrast paints, you will be astonished, nay, delighted to know that I think I'm now going to call them the damned Arab dynasties, because it's been going on for so long, is actually finished. I finished the last 4 bases of them literally today. Did the flat grass flocking and a few tufts, which I didn't buy from Dave's new online internet emporium today. So I've got 2 more units of spearmen, 1 more unit of swordsmen, and then a unit of kind of elite swordsmen who are actually the Perry dismounted Arab cavalry figures, which are absolutely stunning. You know, if we're having that conversation about quality and figure posing, it's there's like 6 incredibly dynamic, Crusades era dismounted cavalry, with all sorts of different swords and axes, and some of them have got bow slings, bow holders, whatever they're called, quarrels and quivers and things. Really, really, really nice, really, really nice figures. So with those 4 bases done, that's it. I've now finished the army. I'm still being cautious because I've spent so long on them on when I run outside and do the matte varnish spraying, and the weather's still been both very, very cold and very, very damp, which is just a terrible combination. So they may actually sit in a really useful box for quite a while with all the rest of it. And again, that's sort of one of the frustrating things, isn't it? You finish an army, and all you can then do is put it in a box and put it on a shelf and wait. But I think maybe in the next week I'll take
why you should buy yourself an airbrush.
Buy yourself an airbrush, do a bit of it in dye. Well, I'm not sure I'm doing it, because decanting my Tester's dull coat spray from a Tester's dull coat spray can into an airbrush to do it indoors is not going to happen. That's not a winner.
Don't do that. I buy some artist matte acrylic varnish.
And the airbrush, yeah, you're still trying to flog me that airbrush, aren't you? Even though Christmas is coming up, so trying to get those Arabs done. I think after that, it's either I'm going to bite the bullet and open the Black Seas box of that Warlord Games thing, because that is something I bought a year ago, and then if I don't use that for a long time, that will be exactly the same as if we were all wargaming, really. Or I might just do a couple of rebasing projects, because I'm kind of in in that zone of having done a lot of basing and being on a bit of a roll with the sand and the wood stain and the dry brushing and things like that. So, and then that can mean I could go online and buy tufts, and then I am buying all sorts of odds and sods and bits and pieces for different things. Getting some of these 10mm World War II. There's a few more of those coming. I am bizarrely, actually, this week I managed to educate one sort of hobby manufacturer. I think it's probably a small scale manufacturer who I was trying to put in order with, and they said they're not going to post the stuff until after Christmas because the queues at the post office are too long. And I said, well, you can print off postage at home and post it in parcels post boxes, and that was a revelation to them. So I may actually have improved someone's. There may be wargamers all around the country or the world who may be getting stuff a bit more quickly and at slightly cheaper postage rates now that I've shown someone how to order postage online and print it off. Which
Tim, it sounds like almost like you've got a spreadsheet of projects to finish off or something. It's like Santa's to-do list, working down the list of projects.
Santa's to-do list, indeed. Yeah, no, I think I'm avoiding spreadsheets for the time being. I think I'm safe for those for quite some time.
Just because you missed them.
It's just because I missed them.
To-do list, right? Is that going through the Wargames Foundry Christmas catalogue?
Yeah, no, not for me. Definitely not for me. No, fantastic. Okay then.
This means war.
Right, well, having talked about what we've painted and almost bought or shopped for or whatever, we're into the kind of what gaming have you done stage. I think somebody's Christmas tree's off and running there, isn't it? Not quite sure what that is. Disco lights. So, Mr. Finkel, I think you're the man who's played your regular online game against Dave Ray in the States.
That's right. Yes.
How was this week's installment? What was the battle? Who were the emperors?
Well, this week's last Wednesday's was the Battle of Raphia, Seleucids against Ptolemaic, and it was an absolute cracker. We actually ended up at about 11:45, sort of nearly 4 hours into the game, deciding that it was a draw. And both sides had lost 20 out of 22. And the most interesting features of the game, apart from being really exciting, was that my mediocre camels had taken his camp, and I'd lost 2 subordinate generals killed in combat.
Wowee, that's pretty good. So you got to within, you both got to within basically a dice roll of the game being over, and you called it a draw.
Yeah, well, he was being. I was kind of saved by his wife's dinner bell, because she gave him a buzz and said, "You got to come up, it's dinner time." So, given that we'd been playing for about 3.5 hours and agreed, had it been a competition game, it had been called some time earlier. We agreed to call it an honourable draw. So that was. So
you weren't there going. You weren't there like trying to phone his wife and saying, 2 more minutes. It's my turn. I've got this.
No. I just said, phone. We should phone 5 minutes earlier.
Yeah, you should start a bit earlier then.
I was thinking of asking Dave, could he give me his wife's cell phone number in case I need to phone for help? Blow the whistle.
Yeah, I think you need to be careful how you ask for that, to be fair. But
indeed, yeah. Well, I didn't actually follow that through. It was just a thought that occurred to me. Yeah. And then this week we're doing, I think it's called the Battle of Arusio, but it's Marius and the triumvirate Romans against the Germans. And I've somehow decided to be the Germans, which is probably not a clever idea, because they don't even get any allies, and they don't get I think it's just going to be a wall of heavy impetuous infantry, and I'm just debating whether to make them elite or not.
Shall we have a quick vote on it? My answer is yes. Yes.
That was my instinct.
I think, as they say,
just storm in.
You've got 6 yeses there, Andy. You're through to the next round.
Yeah. Release the handbrake and charge, I think. Yeah.
Just release the handbrake and charge. Get them.
I can have 6 elite medium cavalry, so that might be quite entertaining too. They'd actually be able to beat up any Roman cavalry.
Forget it. What would you want medium cavalry for? Waste of space. Get more stompy guys storming in.
Well, they're probably not going to have very much shooty stuff, so I'd probably get away with it.
Actually, I think one of the things I've used quite a few times is one of the things I've used a few times is using 2 of the elite infantry with 3 or 4 medium cavalry, because the medium cavalry are not that great on their own, but 2 infantry will absorb a lot of stuff and occupy the opponent's better quality troops, and that means your 4 medium cavalry can then bully the rest of it. So it looks a bit weird, a command with 4 cavalry and 2 impetuous heavy infantry, but that can sometimes work. Sometimes work quite well.
Yeah, well, especially with the command rating of 2, that could be quite entertaining. Yeah, they'll probably end up having an ordinary commander.
You're better off. My suggestion would be just to have a couple of medium cavalry, just as a sort of a mobile reserve. So if you do break through the line, all of a sudden the cavalry goes through and causes havoc to their light infantry. But you don't want to commit it too soon. It's like holding it back enough, and then they can storm through. And you pick up points in no time whatsoever as they stomp all the nice little light infantry.
Don't the Marians have more cavalry than the Romans?
I don't know. I haven't checked the Marian list.
I think they've got more cavalry, so I think the cavalry might be quite good in there.
Yeah, maybe there might be some cavalry to beat up on. Okay. Yeah. Right. And Adam, I think you were saying when we were chatting earlier this week that you might, even through some sort of technicality, be able to fit in a game in the next couple of weeks.
Face to face, yeah. It's because the very nice chap that runs Entoyment, he's been talking to the local authority, and we might be able to do, or he is taking bookings for doing face-to-face games. I think the reasoning is a war game shop is not a hospitality venue; it's a leisure venue.
It's a hospitality
venue. Inhospitable venue, yeah.
So it's it would fall under the same rules as gyms or swimming pools. So as long as the flow of customers in and out is regulated and controlled by the organisation's owner, and people are doing PPE and masks and that, you're allowed to do it. So going to be playing proper face-to-face war games again in the not too distant future.
You have to run on a treadmill whilst you're playing, because that's
while eating a Scotch egg. I don't know, but it's in fact that's quite a good way of going to the gym with a Scotch egg, maybe a sausage roll.
Yeah.
They
have those little holders, don't they, on the running machines? That fit perfectly.
I thought they were ashtrays.
Yeah, I suppose they could be, couldn't they? Yeah. No, that's in the Minder version of it, isn't it? Possibly the Sweeney or something. But yeah, no, I'm sure they'd fit a Scotch egg as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, proper live war games before Christmas, and it looks like those Romans that I spent so long painting are going to get their first jog out.
Oh wow! A lockdown army actually in play
against bloody Germans, in fact.
Bloody Germans. You'll be able to share experience with Andy. He'll be doing it virtually. You'll be doing it for real. Fantastic stuff.
This means war.
So look, it's nearly Christmas. I think this may well be, unless we all get overcome by enthusiasm for seeing each other again for the 31st time in a year for 2 hours on Zoom. No Zoom fatigue here. This is our sort of half-hearted Christmas feature thing, in which we've all been tasked with last week going away and coming back with some recommendations of things to do when you are not, of course, listening to this wonderful podcast for as much of your life as is possible or practical or possibly safe, indeed, as well. And we're looking at a range of things and a set of recommendations from all 7 of us as to 3 kind of key areas. First of all, other podcasts. What other podcasts do you listen to? Do you like? Would you recommend? Would you recommend to people who are listening to this one in that small interregnum until we return, probably in the new year? What computer games could you soak up loads and loads of your time with? And avoid the family, run away from everybody over Christmas because you've got to get one more turn in. Peter, you're the one smirking there, but hopefully none of your family listen to this. And then finally, looking at which internet forums, in this world of Facebook, the machine that kind of chews everything else up, which forums out there are still vibrant and live and do you find useful and interesting? So, looking at those three topics, those 3 things, who'd like to kick us off? In fact, Pete, in fact, Simon, top left-hand corner. Do you want to start with your list of 3 things for the festive Madaxeman Santa's sack, so to speak, or virtual Santa's sack? Yeah.
Now there's a visual for you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. For random podcasts that I've listened to, these are a little bit weird. They are wargaming related. There's one I listened to called Chance of Gaming. It's done. It's an American one. 3 guys basically spend an hour or so talking about various war games. They may drink alcohol and talk about politics and random things. They're not so much as a historical podcast, but they do flutter around between, various other, basically whatever is shiny for them. So they're quite good.
Yeah, I think I may have heard some Malifaux stuff on that one as well.
Yeah.
The American ones tend to be quite slickly produced as well, don't they? Obviously much better than we are, really. But that does go without saying. But
yeah, so the guy who does Adam Chance is the actual host of it. He works in media. I think he's like a TV guy in his real job, so he knows how to do actually put it all together. So he's done some quite good shows. If you want something rude, crude, and offensive, if you like Games Workshop or anything like that, or just listen to 2 wargamers bitch and moan, quite funny. There's one I listened to called Game Classy. The 2 ex-Games Workshop employees who are now...
oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
So they're quite fun. And as Games Workshop got me into the wargaming story many years ago, I have a bit of a soft spot for why 3rd edition Warhammer 40,000 was the best version versus 5th edition versus 7th edition and all that.
Is that spelt with a C for classy, or is that spelt with a K? Because, you never know in these things.
Yeah, no, it's spelled C with for classy.
Blue Club's classy.
Blue Club's classy, yeah. Game classy, right? Okay.
I had a lot of fun over the last year with the various elections in America because they do go for it. So that's a good fun. And then finally, trying to be actually vaguely historical and more proper and all that. The other one, which is quite good, is Wargamers, Soldiers and Strategy, the podcast. So the guys who write and produce that magazine do sometime once a month, once a fortnight, once every 6 weeks, depending on what they've got. They do interesting podcasts. So they've done classics of metals, which one's better, why, which one. Obviously, the Great Wargaming Survey, what's new and shiny, and things like that.
So is it kind of industry topic stuff, that thing we tried to do last week, or is it newsy, or what does that sort of cover?
It's a little bit newsy. So they've got, they focus on...
Sometimes it's a bit like our format. So
really?
What they've been painting and what their plans are, and then the topic of the episode, month.
But they're like professionals. Surely they can't just cobble it together like we do. Oh, okay. Not all of them are. Right. Okay. Yeah. There are some unprofessional people.
Professionals.
At least two of the contributors are ordinary gamers.
Okay.
They write articles for the magazine, but otherwise...
They get members of the Joe Public in, Joe Wargaming Public. Okay.
Well, they're regular. It's a regular crews. Angus something, and got Mark Backhouse, who are the
anchors,
gamers, sort of article contributors, and then you got Guy Bowers and Jasper Ortiz.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's three good ones then. All quite different as well. What about? In fact, no, maybe let's just run around with podcasts and then do computer games and then do the other bits later. So just sort of going around then on my screen. Dave, what about you? Are there specialist podcasts about electrostatic flocking?
Not that I've ever found yet. There's as we said, the YouTube things, but no, I've not found any of the others. Podcasts, I'm fairly religious about In Our Time, Radio 4.
Yeah.
I use that a lot. I mean, I love that, all the history stuff on that, and I download them off their thing. But the other one, the one I really do like, is Ancient Warfare Magazine's podcast.
Oh, the History Network.
Yeah. No. What is it? History?
No, it's podcast on YouTube. It's the History Network.
Yeah. I mean, there's some sort of, it's the guys who do the magazine. Which I used to get, but I found that I just was filling cupboards full of magazines.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, I listened to that one as well.
And it is really good.
That's on my list.
Oh wow! So what do they focus on a topic each? Because I guess history can't happen every week.
Mix. So you get a mix of episodes there. Some are on a specific topic. I think they do the Ancient Warfare Answers ones, which is a specific topic that's been requested by a listener.
Some are a bit weird sometimes.
Some it's sort of Q&A where people submit questions in advance and they work through the list, and also pick ones up during the bits because they do it as a live.
They do it live. Holy baloney!
They do it as a live. They do it as a live stream. I think for
Patreons.
Patreons.
Maybe we could do a live version for our 50th edition or something. Like Coronation Street does for.
We
could invite all the patrons along.
Yes, we could invite, but the patrons along. Yeah, God, imagine somebody paying for this. That'd be scary, wouldn't it? But okay, but does it do like the Dacian Wars, or does it do tactics?
There's one here from 2013. Hang on, I've just gone past it. Oh no,
there's one in Thracians in the 4th century.
Yeah,
there you go, Andy.
Wars of Domitian and Trajan from the 18th of June 2013. Cavalry in the Ancient Worlds, Campaigns of Pyrrhus.
Is it historical? Is there a gaming component? Is there a gaming component to it?
No, I think that magazine's sort of. I think basically there's a lot of historians in Holland the German borders of Holland. I think there's quite a few museums there. So they're all called Jasper and talk with a slightly strange accent.
Okay.
And, so I
What's it called?
Them a Dutch history freaks in the. But there's one.
A lot of the ancient warfare, certainly for ones I've seen, you've got a mix. You've got a Jasper, who's the overall editor of and you got, I think it's Murray Darm, who's Australian but living in New Zealand.
Okay, so there's a regular core of people who appear on it. Then,
there's regular core of people, and there's a couple of Americans, a couple of Brits.
All right. Okay. Well, look, talking to people, no, I can't even go there with that link. Andy, what about you? What's your listening pleasure? Do you like have a five speaker surround sound system in your kitchen?
No. My wife gives all the listening I ever get. But to be honest, I don't really listen to podcasts because during the day I'm either dictating or potentially on the telephone, so I can't just switch off and listen to stuff while I'm working. So the only thing I've listened to on occasion is the Al Murray, James, what's his name, Holland one.
We have ways of making you talk.
That's the one. Yeah, I've listened to that a few times, mainly in the car when I've been travelling. But
is that Al Murray's
I'm not really
thing,
a podcast fan as such, so I'm not the best source of information, I'm afraid.
Is that Al Murray's history thing or one of his comedy things?
Yeah, Al Murray's. Well, he puts a slightly comedic thing to it, but essentially he and James Holland talk about World War II historical stuff. They did one about the George MacDonald Fraser book, Quartered Safe Out Here. If you ever read it, it's an absolutely brilliant book. It's basically about him, the author George MacDonald Fraser, who wrote the Flashman novels, and he was a squaddie in Burma in 1945 and was in part of the campaign that led to the capture of Rangoon and all that stuff. And it was all fairly hazardous, but the way he described the events, some of them were absolutely hilarious.
Okay. All right. A bit of a history. In fact, Al Murray lives sort of in the same area as I do. And I think years and years ago, this probably about 5-8 years ago, we were going into a pub for Sunday lunch, and Al Murray was in there with his missus and his kids. And it's kind of going, if you go for Sunday lunch in a pub where the pub landlord goes, that's pretty much as good a recommendation as you can get for Sunday lunch, really, isn't it? You can't do better than that. But
imagine if you got it wrong, you could imagine it's going to appear on his part of his material for the next 5 years.
Forever. But so Tamsin, what about you? You sound like you've known all the podcasts so far, I think.
Yeah, ones that have been mentioned, apart from other than Simon's ones.
Of course. Well done, Simon. Yeah.
I tend to do YouTube more. There are a couple of bit. They are done as podcasts on other platforms, but also put up on YouTube. So Too Fat Lard is my Wargaming Soul strategy. Various ones. Some podcasts I follow. It's because it's more painting tips, modelling tips.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
It's called Trapped on YouTube. Trapped Under Plastic.
Trapped Under Plastic. That's another thing that's you got to be careful about searching for. Probably.
It's much towards Games Workshop war painting, but they do go through what they've been painting and so on, and think various bits. And then they have a topic of it. It's every fortnight.
Okay, Trapped Under Plastic. All right. Well, I must admit, one of the things.
I guess if you want podcasts which are more interviews with people in the gaming world, and Henry Hyde's Battle Chats.
Yeah, that's a subscription. Is that? Oh, they come out on Patreon first, and then there's a subscription.
If you go to his main Battle Games website, you probably get the links, but they don't go up for public until a week or so after.
Yeah, a couple of weeks or something.
Released for patrons.
No, Henry's a top guy. Absolutely a top guy, isn't he? Real.
You get some quite interesting people on, but.
Yeah, I think
they are quite long podcasts.
Yes. even by our standards, quite possibly. Okay.
Oh yeah, Not quite Meeples and Miniatures length or.
Oh, they were I think some of those are still going on, aren't they? Still playing as we speak. But no, I think certainly from my point of view, I think I'd go with one of the things that Dave said. I find in our time, the Radio 4 stuff with Melvin Bragg, there's that huge long archive of it. But what I really like about it is the fact it's actually got proper clever people on it, proper hardcore academics. It's like those clips of programs from the 1970s that you see on kind of What Was TV Like in the 70s program, where people in beige suits sit around in airport waiting lounge chairs, and
it's almost like the old Open University ones that used to be on
like
before breakfast
stuff.
TV.
Yeah, no, they're just remarkable. You've got. I was just looking at it at the time. It's like Napoleon's Retreat from Moscow with the Professor Emeritus of International History at LSE, a reader in European History at King's College, and a reader in Modern European History at the University of Glasgow. It's like these are the cleverest people in the room on this particular topic, approaching it from an academic point of view. And they only go on for whatever it is, about half an hour or so, 45 minutes. But you just having 4 very clever people talk about something they absolutely know about and debate what actually happened. It always strikes me how much, also how little, although people on other podcasts and the rest of it actually know compared to proper academics. These are people who've imbibed this, they've breathed it in, they've thought about it for a long, long time. But and for us to kind of make some of this crap up and kind of wing it is entertaining. So I don't think our teaching Timmy about Napoleonics is ever really going to stack up against the Professor Emeritus of European History from the LSE. But that's it's nice to dip in.
We did get a lot of the basics right, though.
I'm sure we did. But
there's one on the Battle of Talas with Hugh Kennedy. Hugh Kennedy's one of the best
violinists.
Historians on Muslim history. He's really, really good. His books are brilliant.
We did that at Gordon's house some years ago, Battle of Talas. We had a whole little campaign, and I think you took part, Tamsin, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And quite often they have Paul Cartledge on there as well. He's the top guy on Sparta and Greeks of that era.
And to be fair, Tim, Melvin Bragg asked slightly less fatuous questions than Timmy did on teaching Timmy about Napoleon.
Honestly, people obviously mistake me for him when I'm on the phone all the time. Really, it does happen. But he's got a much more luxurious head of hair than I have. That's the main difference, I think. Really.
And he writes Bad Sex, if I remember correctly.
No, that's another sideline that I've not shared with you all yet. But it's a growing empire of multimedia on Madaxeman. So going around the thing, Peter, what about you in your lying in your sickbed? What's been piped into your ears?
Normally, only time I listen to podcasts is when I'm commuting to work. So it's been a bit of a dearth for several months, funnily enough. Same as some of the others, I've previously listened to some of the ancient warfare ones and some of the general history ones. But the ones that I normally listen to are more sort of rugby related when it comes to the podcast. Unfortunately, I suppose wargaming.
Right. Okay, it's all rugby theory. Adam, you look like a big rugby fan as well. In between all your, that's you clearly. I do now remember you used to be a teacher because the way you looked at me over the top of those glasses. But other than your obsession with rugby, what podcast would you recommend to our listenership?
It's not a podcast. I would recommend it's a YouTube channel, but he updates it 2 or 3 times a week. A chap called Drachenfels on YouTube, and I'm going all navalist on you, which is nothing to do with belly buttons. He does a lot of stuff about naval history. He does lots and lots of short ones about individual ships, which is fine. But I tend to listen to stuff like that when I'm painting, just someone in the background burbling, much like people probably listen to us. And he does a couple of things. Firstly, sometimes he picks a subject or a battle and he breaks it down, and he does study it quite a lot. So he did the Battle of Jutland over 3 1.5 hour episodes, which Jutland's one of those battles that if you're a war gamer, you should kind of know about. It's up there. So that's quite interesting because it's like, I don't agree with everything he says, but he's obviously researched his stuff and his opinions are always measured and evidenced. So that's quite interesting. So he does different battles to listen to. And another thing he does is, I think he calls it the dry dock, where subscribers and people ask questions and he just answers questions. And these questions are just about any sort of area of naval history. He knows Age of Sail up to 45. So it can be anything. And so, as I say, something on in the background, because sometimes these are 3 hours long. So in a painting session, it's just someone sort of going on about why didn't the quadruple turrets on the King George V work properly when they were first put in, or sort of like how can a Age of Sail vessel beat to windward at feet, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like interesting stuff that I'm never going to find out myself. But while I'm painting, to have it going by osmosis, I know it's not osmosis really, Tamsin, because it's not going through a thingy. But
only in motion. Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
And what was that one? What was that one again?
His name's Drachenfels, Drachinfel or something. So type that into YouTube.
Okay. All right. Well, look, that's our set of podcasts.
Just remembered one YouTube channel as we're going on because I thought somebody else might mention it.
Yeah.
But the 20th century warfare, the Tank Museum.
The Tank Museum. Yeah. No, that's a good one. Because you get real pictures of real tanks driving around. You
do. I mean, you get the tank chats where they discuss a particular armoured fighting vehicle. During lockdown, you had the director's Q&A, which was quite wide-ranging, and you also had the director doing various bits about all boiled down to we won the wars because of headgear.
Because of headgear, all right, okay. Well, actually, funny enough, I was on their website today because they've got a tremendous range of Christmas-themed merchandise for the Tank Museum. So if you want that tank-themed Christmas sweater, that is the place to go, their website. So okay then. That's the podcast round.
Is it a tank top?
Tank top, yeah.
This means war.
Look, that was podcasts, stuff you do kind of passively. Slightly more active thing is computer games. So I guess we've all got a computer game. We probably spend blitzing, or possibly all got a computer game. So I don't know, let's just run around it. Peter, I think you've talked about games a few times, even over the last few podcasts. Which, if you're picking a game to recommend everybody for their Christmas list, what would it be at this point in time for you?
Europa Universalis 4. This is why I was slightly chuckling earlier, because both my teenage boys are coaching me on it. It's a real grand strategy game where you basically control a nation from late Middle Ages, sort of 1444 through to 1821, with trade, admin, diplomacy, and of course colonialization and warfare. So it ticks all the boxes for me.
So is it turn-based? Is it real time? Is it?
It's real time. So it's depending on how you send the clock. When you're sort of trying to on a strategy sail, trying to do some armies attacking each other, you might want to slow it down. But otherwise, you can be whipping through and building up different capabilities, doing diplomacy and everything else. But it's one of those games that looks deceptively simple, and then you start getting sucked into it and find out, there's another option you can do on this.
There's so much going on under the bonnet. There is so much going on that, it's a great game.
Oh yeah,
it's not one of those where you have to keep kind of clicking, otherwise just people overrun you. Is it? That's what I'm saying. Turn-based versus real time. Obviously, you can speed the game time up, but is it? You do a set of moves and then all your opponents move, or does it just?
It's not like Command and Conquer or things like that.
Right.
It's literally a grand strategy. type thing. So it's not like I'm building this base, so therefore I can make tanks out of it. It's I'm controlling my country and the diplomacy that comes in it, and you're moving armies, not battalions or anything else. But then you'll be doing diplomacy and trying to bring people into a coalition, discovering different things, doing ideas, inventions, trying to stay ahead with the technology. So it's one of those things you start into it and then it starts getting bigger and bigger.
So this is version 4 then. Is that the current version, or is there a...
That's the current version. They've released a whole load of DLC, so digital content to expand on it. So from dealing with wealth of nations through to the rights of man, and then various ones where they look at sort of if you wanted to play a nation from the Americans Plains or the Incas or Mayans or something. Plus there's certain countries that you can form, so you can end up forming, say, Prussia or the Mughal Empire. So I think there's something like 1,000 playable countries you could actually play. In the thing.
And how does the Incas or Aztecs is quite interesting, and you think you're doing quite well, and then the bloody Europeans turn up.
And they've got gunpowder and you don't, and it's kind of, that's a bit disturbing. I've had a couple of nice run-throughs playing as Ottomans, as well as the French, Castile, and then forming Spain, and as well as England forming GB. Managed to take over.
No, but never mind that. How do the battles work? What goes on with that?
The battles work because it's from a strategic perspective. You have a mixture of the troops. So by a certain period, you've got cannons. So depending on how you actually configure the army itself, is how they operate. You're not able to control them from that perspective, from a tactical perspective, but you control to say set up the army to say I'm going to fight in this terrain, either defend, attack. And the makeup of the army. So you try to get the best makeup because, of course, the artillery is going to give you overhead coverage and things like that. But then,
so it's fair to say that the battles aren't that important. You win wars by not running out of money first and not running out of people first. So winning battles is a really good thing. But someone like the Ottomans, they've just got so much cash and so they can raise so many armies that even if they lose, they're coming back and they're coming back. So it's more a grand strategy. As your country got the finance and as your country got the troops and the army to feed them in.
But at the same time, if you keep losing battles, you have a high sort of attrition rate. And so therefore your population starts saying, I don't want to do this anymore. So it's quite interesting from that perspective. So
is it an empire management game or an internally focused, or is it a strategy game, or is it you can play it either way?
A bit of both. You want to expand, you want to take more territory, you want to control high seas, so you could do it play as Venice and do more focus on trade, for example.
Okay, so
be successful and go on into the 19th century.
I'd love to, but it stops just at the 1800s. So it would be lovely to carry on, but he actually stops at 1821.
Could the Aztecs be successful and take over?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, you can. There's different ways to do it. It's a lot harder, and you have to focus on developing certain skills because, as and he was saying, you've got a bit of a problem that they turn up, the Europeans turn up, and they beat you up with a gunpowder unless you've been developing it a bit.
Okay, so
Peter, do you know that there's a World War II version?
The Hearts of
Iron is kind of the same game.
I daren't buy it. I've got too much on. I can cope with one thing at a time.
I actually bought it because I really like Europa Universalis. So I bought Hearts of Iron, and I tried it a couple of times, and then I thought, don't have time for that. So I haven't looked at it since. I spent the money, tried, and thought that looks really good. Yeah. I just don't have the time to figure it out, so I sort of put it to one side. But
I've been having fun watching my sons play it because it's quite hilarious seeing them go from Muscovy to form Russia and then go storming in doing different things. Or my youngest desperately trying to reform Italy. It's starting off with Naples and stuff. So next thing you know, they're quoting to me about various points of history, because there's a lot of historical stuff going on all around it. So now my son's able to fully inform us about the HRE and how it was formed and how you could actually dismantle it and everything else. Holy Roman Empire.
So this game's been around, with my my obviously great expertise looking at Wikipedia, since 2013. So that's a long old time for a game. Is it something that you've been playing that long? Is it something you just picked up?
It's
because it looks like there's more DLC coming out.
Played a while ago and then played it again.
Okay, so have you? It looks like there's loads of extra expansions. It said there's a Emperor expansion for Austria released in June 2020, reworking the Holy Roman Empire and other bits and pieces. So it's all kind of, it does keep developing. But so this is actually, maybe this is the thing with these computer games. Did they sort of stop evolving a few years ago, or unless you're in a world of being a computer game geek? Because I'm looking at this thinking, what would I talk about? What's my things in this? And literally the last couple of months I've got out Total War, medieval, and I'm shoving like little armies along the Dalmatian coast, and I'm kind of a bit bored to do the battles because they're a bit crap, but that if you need to win a battle, you can probably do better than the AI will do, which is a bit random, but I just kind of enjoy the pace of it. Have games not necessarily, or did they reach an apogee 5 or 6 years ago and we're kind of where we're at? Or has anybody got any newer stuff than this to talk about?
More newer stuff. I've done XCOM and pulled into those and the more recent XCOM stuff. But a lot of it, the AI stuff is starting to pick up, but they've not properly come across to the strategy games just yet. It's nearly there, but not quite. There's the capability.
I think it's also a case of, for strategy games, where they don't rely on graphics, they don't need to update, because there are a lot of games, it's like first-person shooter games, there's always new ones, but they're basically the same game with better graphics. Whereas most war games don't really rely on the graphics, so you don't need that latest, newest, quickest sort of thing. Because most computer games are the same. There's about 5 or 6 different computer games, aren't there? And they've been made since the 1980s.
Yeah. So, like one I played recently, Bannerlord, Mountain Blade 2. So that's a follow-on from its previous one, where you go from being an individual warrior, sort of medieval times, to building up your sort of empire and everything else, building up your groups. I mean, that was good. But it had a bit of a problem with a lot of bugs when it first started. It's cleaned up a lot now. But it's quite a fun game to play. But that's one of the more recent ones, but it's having the capabilities and the compute capabilities for that.
Yeah, because again, I looked at my, I remember times when I used to have to upgrade my PC every, 4, 5, 6 years to be able to play the graphics for the latest games, but that's just stopped happening. And I've now had this PC for an awful long time, and it does everything I want. But maybe there is a thing about so these games, something like your Europa Universalis or XCOM, how much do they cost these days? I guess it's all bought through Steam, but I guess if it's a 5-year-old game, it must be a lot cheaper than it was back in the day.
In the sales, you can pick it up for about £15. Okay. But then there's the other DLCs on top and everything else. So then you can spend another 40 quid on that. But you don't have to. It's just a lot more interesting to do so, because it adds different elements to the game and it's built up over time. So we find out different things and added extra capabilities and extra challenges. It's like Adam was saying, it's like as soon as you get into it, you get half an inch in, and then next thing you know, you're watching guides on YouTube and opening moves for building up the French Empire and how would I play Ethiopia. So it's suitably hilarious on that. And then, another bit comes along and says, oh, well, if you want to do this one, then you switch to Orthodox. And therefore you can actually create this, and it sucks you in a little bit.
All right. Well, Adam, it sounds like, you've played some of these games as well, these exact games. Are you playing a game at the moment, or have you got one you'd recommend?
Thing that I'm messing around with at the moment, I'm going to stay on the navalist theme. There's a game called Rule the Waves 2. Now, I think this is I only bought it quite recently because I only heard about it recently, but I think it's quite an old game to the point, and the graphics is to the point of my daughter saw it on the screen and she said, what's that? And I said, oh, it's computer games about warships. And she said, oh, I thought it was a spreadsheet.
So fantastic. That's perfect.
That's kind of where the graphics are at.
Isn't that, a computer game that's a spreadsheet? Surely that's
no, it's not a spreadsheet,
online.
But it's like along the top, there's symbols that you would get in a spreadsheet. So it's not a spreadsheet, but it's the fact that an 8-year-old girl who isn't the most, she's not a techie because she's only 8, but the fact that she thought I was a spreadsheet shows that the graphics aren't that advanced. But to be frank, I don't care. I don't really, when I play war games on computers, I don't care about the graphics. It's like if the gameplay's good, it doesn't really matter.
Actually, I've just Googled it now, and it's thrown up a link on Wargaming.com, which says, you couldn't be more accurate. It says, I've just played Rule the Waves 2, and I realise I've never had a more engaging or heart-pounding time looking at data and numbers on the screen, except perhaps during tax season. To the outside observer, my wife, who walked past, said, I thought you were working on your game review tonight. It might look a little like work. Yeah, no, exactly. Okay. So it is work. Fine.
But it's a game. It's not. It's a game that's split into two. It's you're supposed to sort of like you're the person that's guiding a nation's navy from 1900 to 1945. So the first part of the game is you have to design the ships for the navy, and that's kind of interesting because it's all about weight and armor and guns and technology. And the deal is, the longer you wait to build your battleships and your battle cruisers, the better stuff you can have. But then you're going to get caught up in a war, and if you haven't built the stuff, you haven't got the ships. But if you do build lots of stuff, as soon as you sort of like built lots of stuff, you can guarantee within a few months it's going to become obsolescent because someone's invented super firing turrets. So instead of having wing turrets all over the place and really rubbish, it's sort of all turbine engines. So there's always that sort of like, oh, should I build? So you're always designing ships, which you've got to be interested in naval history and naval architecture to have any interest in this game at all. And that's always an interesting tension about judging what and when to build. And the second part of the game is sometimes the game will say, oh, you're in a war with this country now, and it'll give you lots of battles. And the battles do get a bit samey. So sometimes you've got to click through them a bit. And the AI isn't the greatest. So you've basically, you're the Star Admiral, you know what I mean? So it's like, you're the Star Admiral. So you get thrown in against, not impossible odds, but you get thrown in against big odds, and you've got to figure out, how do I win this battle? And the AI's not great, so you can do. And it sort of like goes through, it starts off in 1900 pre-dreadnoughts, and it goes through and they start developing bigger battleships and then aircraft carriers, and you're making decisions about what to invest in and when. And it's, if you're interested in naval history, it will be a fun, interesting game. If you're not interested in that naval history, don't even bother putting it into Google.
Yeah, no, I'm reading this same review in real time. I think he said something about the AI was a bit suspect, and I think the reviewer is mentioning that he found it a bit suspicious that the Royal Navy laid down the keel for a ship with a full complement of anti-aircraft guns in 1902 before. Like, well done, Admiral Nostradamus, I think it says. So there's obviously some random thing, but that's a pretty geeky one to throw out. Is this something that costs like £4.99 that someone developed in their bedroom, or is it like a proper thing? Or
it's
it
a
like
proper thing.
£100?
I think someone's developed. I think it's actually, it might have been one of the more expensive ones I bought, because whenever I've got computer games on my computer that I buy on Steam when Steam have got really big sales on. Yeah. So I just go, oh well, it's like Total War Rome 2 or something, or Total War Warhammer I've got, because it was like 12 quid.
That's the problem with Steam. It's just you get these little pop-ups come on and go, oh, I might just have a go at it.
But it's like on the same sort of thing, because we were talking about Black Friday sales.
Yep.
And after that game, I went and sort of like had a look at some stuff. So I ended up buying the Battle of Britain board game. And while I was on the PSC website, I got their Cold Wars war game, because the Battle of Britain one was 15 quid.
Yeah.
And the Cold Wars one, which I'm told is a decent game as well, was £12.50.
Yeah, that Quartermaster General one. Yeah, I've heard good things about that. I
don't know whether I'm going to play any of them, but it's just like, wow, it's a 60 quid game for 15 quid.
Do you have a trashy game that you go to? Mine every so often is sort of World of Tanks. I just dip into it for the sheer freedom of just blowing something up.
Quite often, War Thunder, aeroplanes to like fly around and shoot stuff down. It's like computer games that you don't have to think is fun.
Yeah, it's this true bubblegum one. You just dive in, having a go, blow stuff up. Yeah.
Although I think for games like World of Tanks and War Thunder, etc., you don't have to think. And I don't bother, and I'm not very good, because there are some people that are very good at them games.
Yeah,
and extremely better than me. So I think that they do think about it. But
maybe we should do a World of Tanks, video podcast of us all chatting incoherently over World of Tanks at some point, or those of us who do play that.
Well, we all start off with starter tanks.
Yeah, of course we all start off with starter tanks, and then we get sworn at by 11-year-olds or something. Okay, right. Who else wants to put their hand up for a video game? Andy, over to you. Is there a Napoleonic button polishing video game that you know about or something there?
No, the only one I play at the moment is Pike and Shot, which is basically Fog R on the computer, because I've got it on my iPad, and that can be diverting for a period of time. But when Adam was talking about this naval one, that does sound interesting. I might get involved in that. But there was an air game a bit like that years ago. We had it on the PC when my son was growing up, and I don't know where it's gone, but it was called Crimson Skies, and it was based on sort of like an alternative version of history in the 1930s, and you had all these different nations in America, and you invented all these kind of funky different aeroplanes and designed them, and they looked really cute. You could give them their own sort of color schemes and configure them with the type of weaponry and stuff. Some of them had the flying characteristics of a double-decker bus, but it was nice to design the things with just again, it was a balance between power, weaponry, armor, and maneuverability.
Didn't Warlord Games actually, or someone released that game, or Crimson Skies? Wasn't that released as a?
I think it was a board. I think it was a board version of it.
Sorry, it was
Blood Red Skies.
Blood Red Skies. Was that the same game or a different one?
No idea.
Don't know.
Blood Red Skies, wasn't that a proper World War II?
Yeah, that's proper World War II thing, isn't it? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe I'm getting that confused. Okay. No, I must admit, I bought Pike and Shot when it came out, because it was Fog R, but I just found it really ponderous. It was just moving because it was on a square grid and everything moved forwards, and it took a while to move all your units forward. And then it would just resolve all of the fighting and shooting square by square. And you were kind of watching 20 squares shoot at each other with a little kind of half-hearted animation, and you were like, what's going on here? You were kind of passive for large parts of it, but unless they kind of speeded it up or something, I just couldn't get to grips with that one at all.
You fire each one separately and fight each one separately.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It just felt like it should all resolve at the same time. Otherwise, you weren't really getting the advantage of it being on a computer. But
it's a bit of a silly game, but I've got it on my iPad. It works.
Yeah. No, if it's on the iPad, that's a win, isn't it? That's an easy thing to carry around. Okay. Dave, what about you? Are you what does Mac do for wargaming? Does Steve Jobs not let you do anything at all?
I don't play any computer games.
Well done. There's not an electronic. There's no electronic flocking game or anything like that.
No. I mean, what you lot tried to persuade me, World of Tanks was a possibility at the start of lockdown. So I paid the 15 quid, went onto it, and was completely stumped by how to create a bloody tank in the first place.
Yeah.
So you paid for World of Tanks.
You paid for World of Tanks. You bought the wrong one. It's free, mate.
You paid for World of Tanks.
Was it free? I can't even remember. It just completely confused me from the very, very beginning.
You create a tank by going, "I'll have that one." You create a tank by, I think you got the wrong game. You have to do tanks. You create it by going, "I'll have that one. Let's go."
Yeah. You know when you see World of Tanks, it's tanks with a gun, not tanks as in you're building a water tank, you know?
So, no, you start with a Japanese tank or something, and you've got to decide how much you're going to spend on the armour and where you're going to put
No, Dave, you bought the wrong game.
You bought the wrong thing,
that,
mate.
wasn't it?
No, you don't decide about the armour. They're just tanks.
World of
geeky
tank design, I think is what you bought.
You brought some knockoff version that actually cost you money.
No. This is the same one you were talking about.
Well, look, we'll lead you through it another time then. Right,
now, the only game I was interested in, what's in the cupboard behind Simon the Ray Mayer? He keeps going in the cupboard behind him, and I want to know what's in the cupboard.
It's probably Game of Whiskey. Simon, what have you been playing?
Scaringly, other than Tabletop Simulator, I really don't play too many computer games of a wargaming standard. Spending 10 hours of my life working in IT, I generally want to do anything other than play with computers. But I do have.
I've seen you playing games.
Yep.
On the track.
When I do need to kill brain space or brain cells, I've got an old game called UFO Enemy Unknown. It's a squad, aliens come on to invade the Earth. You've got to kill them. You've got a squad of soldiers. You run around. You build different technology, and you get bigger guns. And you blow things up. It's a hoot. It's simple. Things explode. Things go squish. You have tanks and powered robots. Life is good.
Okay. Well, look, it sounds like there's quite a schism here between those of us who play games and those of us who don't. But that's the big wonderful world we're in at the moment.
This means war.
So we've done podcasts, we've done computer games. Let's do something really old school. In this world of Facebook and Twitter and whatever the new social media platform is, Wargaming on Instagram. What about old school, proper, honest to goodness forums? I don't think we're quite going back to Stanford.edu mailing lists or anything like that. But if we just talk about, let's all quickly run around the screen and looking at forums. Which forum do you use, if any? Do you find the most useful? There's still quite a few out there. I'm certainly monitoring the traffic when I post up battle reports on Madaxeman and where those traffic sources come from. Forums have really declined in traffic numbers over the last 18 months, 2 years, quite noticeably, and I think that is Facebook sucking it up. But there's certainly still some very good, very strong forums out there. So if you were picking just one forum to put into your internet, favorites bar, what would it be? So I don't know, Peter, what about you? Is there a forum that you would recommend above all others?
Yeah, well, apart from the two, the ones that are just directly game related, like the ADLG forum or the BE forum.
That's kind of game support, isn't it? That's not really
Lead Adventure Forum. I look at that sometimes because I like doing wargaming. I like some of the stuff, as you've probably heard from the podcast. There's a lot of people who paint a lot better, but the depth some of the people go to on there, building some of the stuff out, I am just constantly surprised, amazed. It's just very curious to see where people are going at and what they're looking at, and they'll start building out a whole force in a period that, quite frankly, I barely knew about. So I find that interesting to dip in just to see the wild and wonderful world that some people are looking at.
Okay. Running along the screen, and Tamsin, you're, there must be some hardcore painting forums or specialist stuff there.
No, I used to be a regular on on TMP, but that dropped off.
Yeah.
I don't think I've looked at it for several months now. Partly because it was just getting more and more toxic.
Yeah, it's just got very, very weird TMP, didn't it? Yeah.
Well, it depends where you were on forums. So if you avoided the bits like the general chat or whatever it is, then within specific subject areas, period areas, it was fine.
It's good. But now that's, tailed off. What are you using? What's your first go-to?
Sort of Facebook groups and...
Are there any old school forums at all? Any old school forums that you'd use?
Right, or company specific forums.
So there's not a general forum for you that's replaced what TMP used to do?
No, so occasionally take a look on Lead Adventure Forum, but...
Not too much there.
Yeah, okay. Lead Adventure Forum, I just find the format.
Yeah, it's actually very, very siloed, isn't it?
About TMP, about the format of TMP, but I find Lead Adventure actually worse
it's quite the silos are quite tight, aren't they? I guess the historical periods are broken down quite a lot. Okay, Adam, what about you? Anything for you forum wise that you?
I don't really do. I still go on TMP. Actually, that's my that's my usual. If I'm on a bus or a train and I've got some time to, I'll have a look at that. Because I think I still go to that because I just don't do forums very much. So I just haven't bothered looking at anything else. Although it is a bit, so I've come up with a plan that if I ever want to get banned from TMP, I'll come up with a plan. And here's my plan to get banned from TMP.
This means war.
I think I might get banned, but it would be funny.
No, you wouldn't get banned there. You'd turn into a hero.
Yeah, you'd become a moderator, wouldn't you?
They don't get British sarcasm.
No, I think there might be a bit of incidental
British
music coming over that one.
British sarcasm tends to get British members there banned.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah.
So Andy, do you visit any forums other than the gaming specific ones?
No, not really. If I want some research and stuff, I'll just bash in the topic and see what comes up, and then sort of follow it out from there, rather than go to a particular forum for my guidance and information.
Okay, Simon, what about you? Top left-hand corner there. Any forum stuff, or you with your multiple Facebook identities? Are they still going? Did they catch you out?
No, I still have my multiple identities, which is always great fun, watching people get confused with deceased.
Yeah.
I have a warped sense of humour, so at the best of times.
Yeah.
So we've talked about Lead Adventure and websites like that. The other one I quite enjoy going to is the Wargames website.
Mm-hmm.
So
we've gone viral on the Wargames website. We've created our conversation last week has created a burning hot topic.
Is that one that was set up by Michael Stocking?
I think so. Yeah. Yes, I think it was. Yeah. Another TMP refugee. Yeah. No, in their general tab, our discussion about why not pay proper money for proper figures, or whatever it was, from last week has created almost a viral moment. I think there's about 20 different posts in the thread, only a couple of which are mine, actually, which is good. But it's been kind of enlightening. But
Simon's alternative.
We're not going to admit that. We're not going to admit that. We'll be able to sell the advertising numbers to the vast array of people other than Martin from Vexilia, who are hurling free stuff at us to give away in another competition at some point as we speak, due to our huge listenership on the pod. So TWS is, it exists. What is that kind of become your go-to then, Simon? Or
between Lead Adventure, so Lead Adventure is more for the uber nerd, what people have done, at the nth degree of random sci-fi or stuff like that. The Wargames website, I find it just quite nice from a what's happening in the world. There's also a...
So which bits of that do you use? Because I dip into the Ancients piece, but that seems to be pretty slow. There's not a lot happening in the Ancients bits, are there? Because Ambush Alley have a section of it now, don't they, as well, I think? But...
They do, but regretfully, Ambush Alley basically died. So they were with Osprey, they had their own website, things went bad, their website died, and they've never really recovered from that. So like you gave up on the game because no one really played it. I do go through the sci-fi forums as a keen sci-fi nut. I always need more tanks and robots. They're quite good just to see what's happening. And there's just a few other random blog spots or war games terrain websites like that, where they're just often fans or people like that who are just posting things that interest them and stuff like that.
Okay, on the Blogger Network.
Well,
the other one is called
War Games News and Terrain.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Sorry, War Games News and Terrain.
Yeah. War Games News, War Game News and Terrain.
Okay, that's a new one to me.
That usually has a good roundup of the latest release stuff and things like that. It doesn't really have a forum.
I follow their blog and they follow mine.
Okay. Well, yeah, if they're following your blog, that puts them in the top tier, doesn't it? That's the answer. That's all good.
No, it just means they're following my blog.
Fine. All right. Okay. No, big yourself up. All right. Then, well, look, finally then, Dave, did we come to you earlier? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Dave, you're there. You follow some obscure history thing from University of London or something?
When I began again 13 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, I really like the ANC MED, the old Yahoo group, which had Duncan Head and people like that, and all the historians.
Did that come with slimline salad dressing?
Oh, it was really good. It was really in-depth nonsense with Nigel Tallis, who's now works at the British Museum. I think I pissed him off with my first ever contribution to the group by saying that the Akai Mini show at the British Museum was pretty rubbish. And he went, well,
we all know that feeling, Dave. There's 6 of us here all vouch for that one. But
I mean, the one thing I use a lot is Pinterest.
Okay.
Because when I'm researching armies, there's loads and loads of pictures, and I think that's really useful. Pinterest. I think that's
that's a good lateral.
Isn't it?
That's a good lateral selection, actually. Yeah, because it is just a big library of images, but actually that's probably what we all want a lot of the time. There's a lot of figure pictures there as well, aren't there?
So I've got quite into it. So I've sitting in, I've created Napoleonic French Dragoon, Württemberg Napoleonic, Hessen and Westphalian, Frankish Army, Janissary, Thracian, and just collected all the pictures. I owned samurai. I was doing a samurai army, so I went to Pinterest and just went every samurai picture, collected them all together, and sort of got ideas from that. So I think that's a really good, useful thing.
Yeah. So
it's your new collage mood board.
It is my collage mood board.
Samurai interior decorating tips from with a New England style, probably, if it's anything like the rest of Pinterest. Quite probably.
Yeah. Then there was one other I was going to mention. Was Napoleon, or whatever it is, NAPOLUN, which is Napoleon, his army and his enemies, which NAPOLUN.com. It's pretty basic from start, but it's really good. It's
okay.
Do all the stuff, and it's a good grounding, I think.
Well, look, anything that sounds like an idiot's guide to Napoleonic Wars, we're all over that stuff, absolutely like a rash. And the other thing that we're all over like a rash is, of course, Andy's quiz music.
Yeah, before we go to Andy's quiz music,
I think we're there already, mate. But
sorry, on the sort of a bit like the Napoleon site, 7 Years War, you've got a chronoscath.
Yeah, that's a good one. A lot of information on that.
Very detailed, so you get
Who's Gaff?
Details, battles. Chronoscath, KRONOSKAF.
Chronoscath. Okay, that sounds like your new character in XCOM, Peter. Probably wears a big cape and a black hat.
Question, comment les voir? Question.
we played Andy's quiz music, and we're all discoed down, as that's our last disco session before Christmas, apart from the next 2 times we play this in the next 3 minutes. So fire away, Andy. Hit us with last week's questions and answers, and then this week's questions, and then we can tease people over the new year before we come back with the answers.
Okay, well, last week's questions were about martial law. The first one was, which French marshal was shot by Napoleon at a hunting party for which Berthier got the blame?
Massena.
Massena, that's correct. Which marshal's opinion of the strategic significance of the watershed of France was, quote, if I stand here and take a piss, half of it will go into the Atlantic and half of it will go into the Mediterranean?
Say nay again, because that's the only one I can remember.
Yeah. In fact, Marshal Blucher, Prussian commander.
That was the other one. Okay.
And which marshal once sent a message saying, my centre is giving way, my right is retreating, situation excellent, I'm attacking?
Fuck.
Yes, right.
Easy.
Well said. Easy. Calm down.
Question. Comment les voir? Question. Le trou est sans fond? Question. La légende le dit? Question. Elle dit aussi? Question. C'est une maladie? Question.
Right, Andy, hit us with this week's questions then.
Okay. Well, today is 7th of December, the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. So this quiz is all about sinking ships. So it's called Going Down. So question 1. What unfortunate coincidence connects the cruisers HMS Edinburgh and the submarine USS Tang in World War II? So Adam, you might know this one.
You'd hope so. He's probably played a spreadsheet-based video game for 8 hours to try and build it himself.
Right. Question 2. What was the nationality of the warships which sank the French battleship Britannia by gunfire in 1940?
I know that one.
Okay.
And number 3. Which rare fate befell submarines CSS Hunley and HMS Thetis?
Not sure I can even spell them.
That's lucky then.
Yep. Okay.
Would you like me to tell you now, or do you want to keep it hanging over the holiday?
I think we should keep everybody hanging on tenterhooks for the next possibly a whole month over Christmas, because then it will give everybody something to look forward to in the new year. That would be my vote. So on that note, let's hit the music.
Question. Comment les voir? Question. Le trou est sans fond? Question. La légende le dit? Question. Elle dit aussi? Question. C'est une maladie? Question.
Well, indeed. The questions are answered, the questions are asked, and we're now waiting for the answers until the new year. So whilst we run pell-mell towards the end of this pre-Christmas podcast, let's just do one quick run around the screen to see what does the next week or couple of weeks or stuff stretched into Christmas bring to your gaming planning. So Adam, you mentioned you've got a game. You've talked to us about 30 sets of Thracians, but is that the full thing laid out? Anything else is going to sneak into the queue?
Well, nothing's going to sneak into the queue because tomorrow I'll be getting my boy's Christmas present, which is a cricket bat, which is a very expensive plank of wood that needs to be knocked in. Which, if you don't know about knocking in a cricket bat, first thing you do is you put some linseed oil in it and leave it for 24 hours. That's the easy bit. You then hit it with a mallet for about 6 hours.
I've got some budget meetings if you need me to break it in properly.
And that's not an exaggeration. And I can't do it while the boy's in the house because it's like, Dad, what are you doing? Nothing to do with Christmas. Bang, 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 bang. Bang, so so I'll be hitting some very expensive wood with a mallet quite a lot.
Hit me with your cricket stick.
Well, that's 3 times in one episode for that music. That's quite remarkable. Right. So, Andy, what about you? What's coming up for you in the next few weeks?
Italian chips with a stripy barbershop doobies.
Yeah.
I'm painting about 30 of these things at the moment. About another 4 or 5 when I've finished. After that, probably the Hanomag's and Cromwell's that I've ordered. And then the Greek temple. And then maybe a 10 mil skeleton army and if I finish all that lot, I'll have achieved quite a bit.
I just love the way you just slipped in and maybe a 10 mil skeleton army there. Quite. Is that one that you bought without thinking accidentally?
No.
Subcutaneously or whatever it is?
No, it's just been sitting in the back of the cupboard for years on end.
Yeah. Well, what Andy did was he kept painting up World War II armies, and it turned out that he had enough to do a 10 mil skeleton army as well.
Just with spares, just with spares that were lying around. Indeed. All right. Simon, you're also the person who buys weird skeletal things, or things from the back and beyond. Do you think the rats will take you to the new year, or have you got something else that's going to sneak in?
Hey, I'm a wargamer. Of course, I knew will slide in. But yeah, I've got more rats to keep me going, so I've got at least another 30 rats to keep on going. Plus, they're big.
That's an unfortunate expression during lockdown, isn't it? I've got rats to keep me going.
I've got a few more vehicles. I've got a few vehicles for the rats to paint. But last couple of weeks during the Black Friday sales and all that, some of the miniature companies may have had sales, may not have. But hey, I was on the website anyway. So part one of my Ottoman Turks for ADLG Renaissance have arrived. So I've got the Lancashire, the Vexilia range have arrived. Yep. And next week, hopefully this week or next week, the QRF miniatures will arrive as well. So they'll give me all the Janissaries with muskets. So that will keep me amused for at least a few weeks.
Okay, good. So there's some Ottomans on the way. No, and I think we're going to do a quick handover of QRF and then some those two American football playing rats as well, I think, at some point, to do a very strange transfer
We'll call it a business strategy or a business development meeting. Yeah,
outdoor coffee-based meeting. All right, Peter. I guess you're staying in and hoping to recover. Do you? But at least this gives you long enough to kind of, once you're back up and functioning fully, what do you think is going to be on your painting list?
It's finishing off the Polionics. I've got to rattle through those. I've got various pieces, some of which Andy kindly sent to me with the Bavarians and that. But then I just want to sort of round it out and do a couple of other bits. So I might look to add to that because it's one of those things. It's sort of creep into I'll just throw in some Württembergers or something else. But
have you got any Bavarian light infantry, Peter?
Yes, I have got those.
They're nice. They're nice uniforms. They're nice looking colour uniforms, green and grey.
Yeah, they're quite nice. But I want to actually do a few more TTS games so I can actually try out Battle Empire because there's different ideas, different groups, and I've been trying to work on a sort of the short guides we did a couple of times when we started up on AGLG. I want to do a couple of those because for me it's an easy way that once I've created a cheat sheet to actually then learn a game properly. So I can enjoy it a lot more because if I can get it up and going faster, I can play more on it. And then the more games I've played, the more likely I am to actually get my army better for when we are finally on the tables again.
Yeah, it would be good to get some more games in over the next few weeks. I think one of the things I think we've all talked about with this podcast is it kind of obliges you to do a bit of painting. And there might even be a benefit to not being quite so obliged to do painting, to do that. And that's another possibility. Mr. Saunders, what about you? Are you just going to reflock everything now that you can make grass stand up on end?
I'm hoping, hope beyond hope that Giuseppe in Legio Heroica gets our little order in before Christmas, because that's my sort of Christmas New Year project, is to do a Legio Heroica 1250 Spanish army and get the right transfers from Veni Vidi Vici and the right flags from Donington, from Damien, and do a really nice job of creating my favourite medieval army. That's my long-term project. Other than that, it's like trying to clear up the table and finish lots of little projects and things that are stuck together, and clear the decks. I think is clear.
Can you flock your Christmas tree with that thing?
Yeah, exactly. And go through the drawers of the lead mountain and wonder what the hell's in there, and try and relegate it to first and second divisions, I think.
You might find you've got a Thracian army.
Oh, the other thing is to sit here and look at the War Games website and look at the comments about our podcast.
Yes, indeed.
I'm wondering what the hell we do, We
have to think of, Tim will have to think of somebody to offend this week so that it keeps it going over the holiday.
Oh, I must admit, it's fascinating to see that there are. Well, we're here on a sort of painting first podcast, and it is fascinating to remember that there are people there for whom figures are just gaming pieces, and that's that's just a different way of doing it, isn't it? I suppose that's what a lot of it boils down to.
It's okay. Figures are gaming pieces because they are for me as well. Because again, painting isn't really my hobby, but it gets to the point of okay, that's cool. Why not use well printed cardboard? Because it can look good, you know what I mean? And I don't mean that as an insult. Well-designed cardboard counters can look good, and they're a lot cheaper, and the painting's sort of non-existent. So it's got to get to that point of why use figures at all.
Yeah, you don't have the emotional involvement in them, do you? When you've painted your figures and you put them on the table and they win or lose, it kind of means something for about 5 minutes. But
because if you paid someone else to paint them and they lose, you can blame someone else, which is much more satisfying. Indeed. Tamsin, what about you? You've got potentially, have you even got a house move coming up, or over the next? I guess not over Christmas, but you've got the finishing off the cobblestone stuff, and what's in the pipeline after that?
Finish off, and then next figure in line will be.
Oh my lord!
Judge
Death.
Good gosh.
Special mini.
The crime of life. The sentence is death.
Yeah. So I've got that figure to paint, and then I haven't decided what to do after that.
Okay. Well, look, we'll all keep an eye on your blog over the festive period to see
my
how
house
that gets done.
move doesn't look as though it's looking at the completion work won't be until after sort of sometime early New Year.
Okay. Always the best time to do it, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just trying to think who else we've got to go around the room. I think that's the full set, isn't it? It's just me. That may be the answer. Yeah, I think it's going to be a question. One of the big issues will be whether the Dunkelgelb spray arrives from, I think, Element Games, because I've ordered a British tank spray and Dunkelgelb from the Plastic Soldier Company range from Element Games, and the Dunkelgelb's in stock and the British one isn't. And I think it sounds like everybody in the world is having supply chain troubles. In fact, I did see something on one of the forums that some sort of obscure chemical, which has been hard to get from China because of COVID and all the rest of it, is having a knock-on effect. And battle foam type stuff, foam packaging for wargaming figures, is one of the things that's suffering from it. So people who make carry cases are running out of raw material because of COVID in China 10 months ago. So there's all sorts of kind of weird things. But
that's why the order which I placed several months ago with Figures in Comfort never.
I think that could.
Yeah, I ended up cancelling it.
Yeah, in fact, no, I think there's one of those companies might have even gone under. It might even be them. I can't remember which one it is, but I think one of those companies may have gone because they just can't get the materials anymore. So there's that. So I think it will be, if that does come, the German tanks may jump to the top of the queue. Otherwise, I might just go on a bit of a rebasing frenzy, or I might actually open that cupboard and get out the Black Sail ships and start doing that as just a completely different project that I'll be in no hurry to do.
I thought you were going to do a British Napoleonic army.
Of course I'm going to do one, Peter. Of course I'm going to do one. But that's going to be next year's lockdown project.
Oh, just before we go on, just to say, if anybody fancies a game, I can book a table at Entoyment. It's only a couple of hours down the M3.
That could be the answer, couldn't it? Yeah. We'll do face-to-face and mask-to-mask, but with breaks for pints of tea.
Podcast on tour.
Yeah,
Sorry?
if we don't end up in tier 3 before Christmas.
Don't say that.
Yeah, let's all say, yeah, maybe if it's tier 3, we'll be doing daily podcasts over the festive period. So, but until that, let's all keep our masks on, keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully not see each other until the new year. So Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Paint safely.
So Dave, have you done anything else other than play with this electrical toy all week?
It's hard enough getting the batteries inside it.
Get Sherman and Tiger Tank slippers.
This means war. This means war.
It just eases into those crevices.